My friends, I want to share with you today the truths that could have changed everything for me, if only I had known them when my bank account read zero. I speak these words not as theory, but as lived wisdom, as the currents of prosperity that flow freely to those who understand the divine order of abundance. These are the 9 money rules that, if embraced, transform lack into limitless opportunity. Rule 1. Money follows your belief at zero. I thought wealth was earned by struggle, by the grinding of effort and endless worry. Now I see that money is drawn to the mind that expects it, to the consciousness that knows abundance is already present. Every penny you desire is a seed waiting to sprout in the fertile soil of your belief. Speak and think as though the money is already yours, and watch how the invisible forces align to make it so. Rule 2. Release the I can't mentality. When I had nothing, I carried the heavy chains of limitation. I said, I can't, I have nothing, I am poor. Each phrase was a decree that kept prosperity away. Today I know that every negative declaration is a law of rejection. To attract money, one must release all fear, all doubt, and all resistance. Affirm, I am open to receiving my good in expected and unexpected ways. Rule 3. Give and receive freely. I wish I had known that generosity is the magnet for wealth. At zero, I hoarded, I held back, believing that scarcity demanded it. Yet the universe moves in cycles of giving and receiving. When we give, we declare faith in abundance, and the currents of wealth respond. A small act of kindness, a heartfelt gift, an offering with joy, these ripple into prosperity multiplied. Rule 4. Align with your true purpose. Money comes not simply to those who want it, but to those who are aligned with the work they are meant to do. I wasted years chasing hollow goals, seeking riches in places that did not reflect my soul. When I began to follow the path that felt inspired and joyful, the doors of opportunity opened. Money always flows where purpose and passion meet. Rule 5. Speak only words of wealth. I learned, sometimes painfully, that words are spells. When I spoke of debt, scarcity, and struggle, I built walls around myself. When I began to speak of prosperity, opportunities, and abundance, I dissolved those walls. Every word you utter regarding money carries power. Declare your prosperity with confidence and clarity, and your spoken word becomes your reality. Rule 6. Trust divine timing. At zero, I demanded speed. I thought I had to force my way into wealth. I did not understand that the universe has perfect timing. Money flows in its divine season. Impatience blocks the current. Trust invites it. Release the need to control, and open your hands to receive the blessings that are ready to manifest. Rule 7. Remove the how. When I had nothing, I obsessed over how money would arrive. Every plan, every worry, every anxious calculation was a cord tying me to lack. I now know that the how is the universe's work. Your responsibility is to intend, to affirm, and to believe. The invisible forces will orchestrate the how perfectly when your mind and heart are clear. Rule 8. Visualize your abundance. I wish I had known the power of vision. At zero, I saw only emptiness, but the mind that pictures abundance, that feels it in every fiber, is already receiving. Picture your bank account full, your debts gone, your freedom realized. Feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude, as if it is already yours. Visualization awakens the unseen forces to bring form to your desire. Rule 9. Be grateful now, perhaps the most important rule of all. Gratitude. Even at zero, I could have chosen to feel thankful for the air I breathed, the lessons I learned, and the potential that lay ahead. Gratitude is the vibration of abundance. It calls wealth to you not by effort or struggle, but by the magnetic power of appreciation. When you are grateful, the universe cannot help but respond with more for you to be grateful for. My friends, these 9 rules are simple, yet profound. They are not learned from books nor discovered in struggle, but realized in the quiet, knowing that you are already a magnet for all good. Begin today, speak the words, believe the truth, see the abundance, and you will find that even from zero, everything begins to flow. When I first began my journey with money, I believed that it was something outside of me, something to be chased, earned through struggle, or wrested from the world with tireless effort. I thought wealth was a prize awarded to the industrious, the clever, or the fortunate, and I measured my worth by the number in my bank account. But the truth, a truth I wish I had known when my balance read zero, is that money follows belief, and it always has. It does not respond to fear, to anxiety, or to frantic effort. It responds to the mind that knows, with certainty, that abundance is already present. The universe, infinite in its wisdom and generosity, cannot resist the vibration of faith. And when the mind aligns with the invisible currents of prosperity, money flows naturally, effortlessly, and without struggle. I recall the early days when I would sit staring at an empty ledger, feeling the heavy weight of lack pressing upon my shoulders, and I believed that my circumstances defined me. I thought that without money, I was powerless, that I must struggle endlessly to gain even the smallest portion of wealth. Every thought I entertained, every word I spoke, built invisible walls around me. Every doubt, every worry, every complaint about scarcity acted like a decree that kept prosperity at bay. I did not realize that my outer reality was merely a mirror reflecting my inner state, and that to change what I saw in the world, I needed only to change what I believed in my heart. Money, like a loyal servant, follows the commands of thought. If you believe in lack, lack will appear. If you believe in plenty, plenty will appear. The law is exact and impartial, it never fails, it never grows weary, and it never makes exceptions. Belief is the soil in which the seeds of wealth grow. Dry and cracked with doubt, I planted seeds of worry, of fear, and of limitation, and naturally, the harvest was empty. I tried to cultivate wealth with effort alone, as if labor could force the universe to comply with my demands, and I found only exhaustion and frustration. But when I began to understand that my belief is the magnet, everything changed. I began to see that the mind that knows it is already wealthy is already in possession of all that it desires. Belief is not a passive hope, it is a living, breathing declaration. It is the unshakable conviction that the universe is abundant, and that the good I seek is already on its way to me. This belief acts like a current that draws money to me from all directions, from sources I cannot yet see, and in forms I cannot yet imagine. Every great fortune begins as a belief. Every story of wealth that has endured the ages was first imagined in the mind. When I look back, I see that those who amassed great riches were not simply workers, they were believers. They knew, often before a single coin appeared, that their prosperity was certain. They saw it, felt it, and spoke of it, and the universe responded. There is a mystical law at work here, a law that is as exact as gravity, as inevitable as sunrise, and it says that thought creates form. What you hold in your consciousness with unwavering faith, the universe will manifest. To ignore this law is to struggle against an invisible tide. To embrace it fully is to let the river of money carry you effortlessly to your destination. Belief must be nurtured daily. It is not enough to whisper once that you are abundant and then return to fear and doubt. I learned to speak affirmations, to dwell upon the reality I desired, to visualize money flowing freely, to feel the joy and relief of having more than enough. In doing so, I rewired the very channels of my mind, replacing the old circuitry of lack with the new circuitry of wealth consciousness. I spoke as though the money was already mine. I acted as though it were already in my hands, and I imagined the doors of opportunity swinging open without effort. And gradually, imperceptibly at first, the invisible became visible. Small sums arrived unexpectedly. Opportunities appeared from seemingly nowhere, and I began to see that money truly follows belief, not effort. I also discovered that belief does not only attract money, it shapes the manner in which money comes. A mind full of fear attracts money in a state of anxiety and struggle, in ways that drain energy and stir worry. A mind that believes in abundance draws money in harmonious, joyful, and flowing ways. It is the vibration of your consciousness that determines the quality and quantity of wealth that appears. This is why mere wishing or hoping is insufficient. The mind must be fully aligned, the heart fully convinced, and the soul fully surrendered to the certainty of abundance. Then, money flows like a river that knows its path, unimpeded by resistance, unbothered by obstacles, and unstoppable in its course. Another profound lesson I learned is that belief is not a one-time act, but a continual practice. When my balance was zero, I allowed doubts to creep in. I compared myself to others, I fretted over the size of my income, and I listened to the voices that proclaimed lack as the norm. Each of these actions weakened my belief and obstructed the flow of money. Only when I cultivated steadfast faith, when I returned again and again to the certainty of abundance, did the current strengthen. Belief requires persistence, repetition, and a willingness to see beyond appearances. The universe cannot act on the fluctuating whims of fear. It responds to unwavering, steady conviction. Finally, I realized that belief is not arrogance, nor is it wishful thinking. It is a humble recognition that the world is abundant, that the divine intelligence of the universe is ever at work, and that all good is already available for me to claim. Money follows the energy of faith, and it cannot resist a heart that knows it is entitled to all good. Every act of trust, every moment of confident expectation, every positive thought and grateful feeling acts as a magnet, drawing wealth to my life in ways that are effortless, seamless, and perfectly timed. Through all of this, I came to understand that my starting point of zero was not a limitation but a perfect canvas. From zero, belief alone has the power to create limitless prosperity, to open doors, to attract opportunities, and to transform every aspect of my life. Money does not follow struggle, it does not follow worry, it does not follow fear, it follows belief. And when belief is steadfast, consistent, and unwavering, it leads to abundance in every imaginable form. When I first began my journey toward financial freedom, I was convinced that holding tightly to what little I had was the key to survival. I clung to my coins, my meager earnings, and even my time with a fearful grip, believing that scarcity demanded my vigilance. Yet the universe has a different law. Prosperity flows where generosity, alignment, and trust are present. I did not know, in those early days of empty pockets and anxious thoughts, that giving opens the door to receiving, that aligning with one's true purpose creates a magnetic path for wealth, and that releasing the need to control the outcome invites the perfect flow of abundance. Only when I began to understand this divine principle did I start to experience money as a friend, a servant, and a companion in the joyful journey of life. I learned first about giving. At zero, it seemed impossible. I had no excess, no surplus, no cushion to offer. Yet even when my pockets were empty, I discovered that giving is not measured by quantity but by the quality of the heart. A smile, a kind word, a small gift, a moment of assistance, all are acts of generosity that declare faith in abundance. Every act of giving sends a message to the universe that you trust it to provide, that you believe in the flow of good, and that you are willing to participate in the cycle of prosperity. I watched as my small offerings, given freely and joyfully, returned to me multiplied, often in ways I could not have anticipated. Giving is not sacrifice. It is recognition that wealth is infinite, that it is a river to be dipped from, rather than a bucket to be hoarded, and that when you release, you invite more to flow in. Alignment with purpose was the second revelation. For years I chased opportunities that did not feel right, work that drained my spirit, and pursuits that promised money but left me empty. I did not understand that money follows alignment, that the universe directs abundance to those who are walking the path of their true calling. The moment I began to listen to the whispers of inspiration, to follow the inclinations of my heart, and to pursue work that felt meaningful, I noticed a shift. Doors opened. Opportunities appeared. Unexpected income arrived. The key is not to pursue money alone, but to pursue the work that makes your soul sing. When you align with your purpose, money flows naturally as a byproduct of your authentic energy, and the joy of creation becomes inseparable from the joy of receiving. Releasing control was perhaps the most difficult lesson of all. I spent countless hours worrying about the how, the when, and the amount of my wealth. I tried to manipulate circumstances, negotiate outcomes, and predict every move, but the universe operates with a wisdom far beyond our human understanding, and the insistence on control only blocks the current of abundance. I learned to trust, to step back, and to affirm that my good was already on its way. By releasing control, I allowed money to arrive in perfect timing, in perfect measure, and in ways far more wondrous than I could have imagined. The law is clear: the less you grasp, the more freely the river flows. Release is not laziness, it is faith. It is recognition of divine orchestration, and it is the doorway to effortless wealth. I also discovered that giving, alignment, and release are interdependent. Generosity without alignment may bring temporary returns, but the fullness of abundance is unlocked when your actions spring from purpose. Alignment without generosity may attract money, but it will often be slow, halting, and tinged with resistance. Release without giving or alignment may create passivity, leaving the door of opportunity untouched. Together, these three principles create a harmonious vibration that resonates with the natural law of prosperity. They transform scarcity into sufficiency, struggle into ease, and worry into joy. The current becomes unbroken, unshakable, and unstoppable. Giving, I found, also transforms the giver. When I began to release even the smallest portion of what I had, I noticed that my heart felt lighter, my mind clearer, and my spirit freer. Each act of generosity became a declaration that the universe is abundant and that I am a worthy recipient. Giving is not a negotiation with the world, it is a partnership with divine law. Money, like energy, cannot remain stagnant. When it is allowed to circulate, it grows, multiplies, and returns. I learned to give without expectation, to release without fear, and to trust that the return would always be in perfect measure. Alignment with purpose brings a sense of certainty that even empty pockets cannot diminish. When I followed the tasks that felt inspired, the work that made my heart beat faster, I noticed that money followed as naturally as the sun rises. The universe does not reward mere effort or toil. It rewards the expression of your highest self, the unfolding of your unique gifts, and the faithful pursuit of your soul's calling. Every action aligned with purpose sends a magnetic signal, a vibration that attracts money, opportunities, and helpful circumstances. Purpose is not optional for prosperity. It is the channel through which the flow becomes effortless, harmonious, and sustainable. Release is the final key, and yet it is the one most resisted. I had to learn to let go of attachment, of fear, and of the need to control every aspect of my financial journey. I realized that trying to force outcomes, to manipulate circumstances, or to predict the future was like damming a river. It created pressure, frustration, and blockage. True release is a surrender, a trust in the intelligence of the universe, and a confident expectation that all good is already arranged. Release does not mean inaction. It means acting from a place of faith, speaking from a place of conviction, and imagining from a place of certainty, while leaving the orchestration to the divine. The combination of giving, alignment, and release transforms the very nature of money. It stops being a source of stress, struggle, or fear. It becomes a tool, a messenger, and a reflection of the harmony of life. I noticed that when I acted in generosity, followed my calling, and released my obsession with control, not only did money flow, but opportunities multiplied, relationships deepened, and my inner peace expanded. The universe responds to this vibration, and the flow of wealth becomes a mirror of the inner harmony cultivated by these three principles. At zero, these truths were hidden from me. I had to learn through experience, through mistakes, through struggle, and through reflection. Yet the moment I embraced giving freely, following my purpose and trusting the process, I discovered a life far richer than I had imagined. Money, in all its forms, began to come with ease, in surprising ways and in measures that exceeded my calculations. I realized that wealth is not simply a matter of accumulation, it is a matter of circulation, alignment, and faith. To act generously, to align with your heart, and to release control is to tap into the natural law of abundance, a law that is impartial, infinite, and ever responsive. When I first began my journey with money, I failed to understand the immense power of words, imagination, and gratitude. I believed that income was a matter of hard work, luck, or timing, and I overlooked the subtle but powerful forces that govern the flow of abundance. I did not realize that every word I spoke, Every image I held in my mind, and every feeling I carried in my heart acted as a magnet, drawing wealth or repelling it. The threefold law of speaking, visualizing, and feeling gratitude is one of the most profound keys to financial freedom, and yet it is often ignored by those who struggle with lack. I wish I had known this when my bank account read zero, for it would have transformed my relationship with money instantly. Words are not merely sounds, they are declarations, they are commands, they are spells that shape the invisible currents of life. When I would say, "I can't afford it, I have nothing," or "money is so hard to get," I was unknowingly issuing a law of rejection. Every word of limitation built a wall between myself and the abundance I desired. It took me years to see that the universe responds to the vibration of speech, to the frequency of thought expressed through words. When I began to speak affirmations of wealth, when I began to declare, "I am prosperous, money flows to me easily and frequently, I am open to receiving my good," I noticed a shift. Opportunities appeared, unexpected income arrived, and situations resolved themselves in ways that seemed miraculous. Words, spoken with faith and feeling, do not simply describe reality, they create it. They are the invisible hands that shape the world according to the mind's convictions.